Hey Sag, welcome to your full moon intuitive astrology reading. My name is Dee. Welcome to CatalystEnergies. Thanks for being here. I'm so grateful that you're here. This is a reading for Sagittarius Sun, Moon, and Rising. Let's set my timer so I don't do a Sag thing and just talk to you forever. And this is going to be a very quick recap of the full moon. I'm going to link that at the end of this video, the full moon astrology video that I've already put out, so you can get the full astrological rundown. This is just to give more of an intuitive and more narrow, specific focus for each of the signs of where some of this full moon energy might be manifesting itself in the chart of each sign. So for Sagittarius, we are looking at the Sun in Aquarius in the 3rd house and the Moon in Leo in the 9th house. So it's really, for Sag, it's really about what you know and what you believe. And this is very much about what's going on, not only in the mind, but what we're going to do, how we understand. And when we get to a point of understanding, it's really actually a process of creation, because when we understand something, we're taking elements and putting them together to create a new idea. That's really what understanding is. And looking at this reading, it's all about what's happening in the mind for Sag with this full moon. And, you know, having the aspect of the 3rd house be Aquarius and be very rebellious and fiercely intellectual, and very much about the wider perspective, the collective consciousness, and really the first real intellectualization of the fact that you know, there's more to us than just the material reality that we find ourselves in. For Sag, I mean, this is the education that you have about reality. You know, it is this very aloof but detached, and but also very larger perspective, very futuristically oriented perspective. It's you know, thinking outside of the box, you know. And for Sagittarius, it's always about finding the truth, you know, what you believe and what you can teach others as well. And so with the moon being in the traditional, the 9th house is the Sagittarius house. And so for the moon to be full here in this zone is really going to be highlighting for Sagittarius what it is you actually believe. And part of what you believe is wearing your heart on your sleeve by sharing who you are, to fully express yourself in order to eventually be able to apply that to a creation of some sort that benefits not just yourself, but offers wisdom to the community or the collective or to the world. But I feel like with this, it's all about the mind in this reading, and it's all, I think there's a lot of mental burnout for Sagittarius. I think that there's been a lot of intellectualizing and mentally trying to wrap our heads around what's been going on. And I think there's a little bit of burnout, which is not necessarily what we need right now. We need to keep ourselves sharp and very I wouldn't say singularly focused, but definitely focused. And there is certainly, there's a lot of spread outness, if that makes any sense. And now with Mercury moving into Pisces in the 4th house, it's going to get more elusive, more watery, more formless in terms of the ideas. And so I think it's going to get harder to really grasp what's, where it is that we feel our personal power as Sagittarians, with the 4th house being Pisces, you know, because the personal power comes from the collectivization, the idea that we're all one and the same, and a feeling of love and compassion and a connection to the divine inner self is really where Sagittarius feels personal power to be themselves. Venus moving into the 5th house of Aries now, this is, and meeting up with Chiron, this is a lot of action potential around creating, you know, creating something material when it comes to expressing ourselves. So this is very much about like creating actual art, creating actual music, something beautiful, something that appeals to our senses, that is creating something, but it's very much about the potential of it. You know, Sagittarius is the belief system. that is able to is the fire of alchemy, really, is the understanding. Excuse me, is the fire. But Venus is coming and just showing us the potential behind, it's just always having the potential of creation, that really is where Sagittarians really open their heart and shine and like really activate them to create, is in the potential of things. But I just feel a lot of mental burnout, and I think it's because there's just a lot of options, and the moon is going to show precisely where Sagittarians, what they believe when it comes to how to express themselves, what's going on in their heart, like being fully themselves. And being fully themselves, in the ninth house is about teaching, and is about mastery in some ways, and it's about, wisdom, and it's the philosophy, and it's the teacher, and it's the professor in some ways. And so having this be Leo for Sagittarius, I mean, Sagittarians are the teachers and the professors, and so what you believe, and being this person that is also the teacher, the conveyor of this wisdom. When you're in Leo, you really want to be the center of attention too. And I think that and it's all about expressing yourself as part of this system. And that's going to come up to the surface, but what I'm feeling from the reading is that mentally that it's very fragmented, and it's kind of burning Sagittarians out, and it's going to be, the moon is actually going to be really where you want to focus as opposed to your mind and your third house, because I think that's really, is really, there's so much energy there right now that it, and diversity, like there's a lot of options. You just see so many different potentials, and then with your fifth house being all about creative potential, like there's never as much coalescing as much as just starting things constantly with Sagittarius. And it's going to be really important to get grounded, because there's a lot of fragmentation. So we'll go through each one of the cards. It's the Four of Swords reversed, and then the Six of Swords reversed. Again, 2 swords, 2 reversals. The Four of Swords is definitely about a mental respite, taking a mental break, like having some mental balance. You may not have it all figured out, but there's like a truce, but just taking, a time out mentally. And the Six of Swords is kind of like coming to terms with something, like mentally, intellectually, like you finally get to this point where you're like, okay, well, this is a chance to start over, and find a place to go based on what you've learned with the Five of Swords. Like this mental defeat is now kind of giving you the ability to conceptualize something different, or a shift or a change. And both of these things are reversed. This is where I get the burnout feeling with the Sun in Aquarius in the third house. There's just been so much intellectualizing and so much mental energy when it comes to the way that we communicate. And we're not allowing ourselves, and I say this as I, because I'm a Sagittarius, we're not really allowing ourselves to express ourselves fully, to really be ourselves, because there's so much mental fragmentation. And so the Five of Scrolls, diversity, and this is what's leading me to this conclusion with this card, is that she sees so many different options, and she has all of these different scrolls, and she has all these like potential perspectives to pick from. I mean, and it's really hard to choose. And when you have Aquarius, you don't really attach to any one thing. You just see like the bigger picture. Especially Sagittarius, that's all you're looking for, is the bigger picture. You're just looking for the truth. There's so much out there, and I think that Sagittarius has been very burnt out, and we really don't know what we think anymore. And then with the guide from the animal messages is the tortoise, that we're too fragmented. So do what you need to do to get grounded. Get low to the ground. Get low and get old. Capricorn is the second house for Sagittarius, about the environment around you. And tortoises are so old. They live to be so old. They're ancient. They kind of represent the Capricorn archetype in a certain way, because of how little they've probably evolved from where they came, and then they themselves live so long. There's just something that is very ancient and connected to a very deep lineage with a tortoise. So getting grounded into that, getting grounded into what you believe, and finding confidence in that. And the moon is going to just shine, is going to be fully illuminated. So what's been going on underneath for a Sagittarius is really going to come up to the surface. And it's time to just give the mind a break. It's been so overstimulated, and especially Mercury and Pisces now. It's going to be a lot of messages still, and it's going to be really confusing, especially when Mercury goes retrograde. So I would advise not to put too much effort or too much of your personal energy into necessarily what you think, because it's not always the place where you create from. You create from a place of potential and action, especially for Sagittarius. So tapping into following Venus through Aries, what that feels like, especially when she comes to meet Chiron in just a couple of days, about this wound, this wound that we have in this place of self-expression when it comes to, what opens our heart, what makes us feel good, how do we express ourselves, and it's tapping into pure potential. And Venus is gonna show us like how that feels good to us, and where we want to go with that. And also she's gonna really want to express what it is, especially the moon right now too, really gonna want to express what it is that we're feeling wounded about, in a very flashy way. That's not the word I want to use, but it's a short temper and quick flares of emotion, especially with the moon in Leo, wanting to express itself and trining over to Chiron. So don't be afraid, Sag, to express yourself. There's a lot of, you could run in circles around your head about like, well, what's good for everybody, and like, really try to like intellectualize it. But no, we need to get back into ourselves. We need to get very grounded into something deeper, something that's out of the mind, something that's out of time, and connect into that, because that's going to inform our belief system a lot more than we think. So Sagittarius, thank you so much for being here. Check out the description box to get all the information, daily blog posts, daily astrology blog posts. There'll be a link there, link to my Facebook page, which is the hub of everything for CatalystEnergies right now. You can also book a reading through there, and we connect on Zoom. And you get a reading just like this, except way more in depth and personalized to you. My email address is there, so feel free to reach out, ask questions, connect, or book a reading with me. And I will see you, Sagittarius, on the next video. Please have a great full moon. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mind. Get grounded into the earth, Sagittarius. This is really going to serve you. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you on the next video. Bye.